Okay, I think I'm live. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all well. It's been a while, hasn't it? It's been a while since I've seen you all. It's been a lot going on. We'll just leave it at that. But I'm going to try and make some more videos now. If there's anyone here, obviously let me know. I'll start to talk because this obviously anyway. So let me know if you're there. If you've got any questions, leave comments. Whatever you want, really. I'm going to be talking about mostly Tottenham today. But yeah, we'll just see how it goes. I'm going to turn this music down for 1 second. Just give me a sec there. That's better. It's a bit too loud. So bloody hell. I've been away, but Spurs have been the same, haven't they, really? So I was at the game yesterday, in case you missed the result. It was Spurs 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 2 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The most first 20 minutes of a football game you'll ever be looking to see from Spurs. Wolves absolutely battered us in that first 20 minutes. It was quite frankly embarrassing. I'm not really sure what the game plan was. Obviously, we were standing in the concourse before the game, having a beer, having a burger and stuff like that. Obviously, an hour before the game, the squad come out. A lot of people spoke about that squad. Obviously, Emerson Royale dropped at right back for Matt Doherty. Ryan Sessegnon replaced Sergio Reguilon at left wing back. Højbjerg replaced by Harry Winks and Rodrigo Bentancur in the centre of midfield. So he made 3 changes from midweek's defeat to Southampton. See, this is the problem with the Spurs squad at the moment. You know, if players aren't playing well, fair enough, drop them. But you've not really got anyone to go into that squad to replace them with strength in depth. Obviously, the right backs are equally both as bad as each other at the moment. I think Emerson Royale is not a very good right back at all. I think defensively he is very, very shaky. Don't know if anyone saw it, but on Twitter there was a video taken from the stands by a fan against Southampton, where the Southampton player had the ball on the left-hand side, and obviously he was running at Royale. And all you could hear in the background from the guy filming was, "Don't dive in, Emerson, don't dive in." And then about 5 seconds later, what happened? Emerson dived in. The Southampton player chipped it over his foot and he was away. And all you could hear was, "Oh, for Christ's sake." It's quite funny. It sums up, obviously, what all Spurs fans think of Emerson at the moment. He's defensively a shambles. He's not much better going forward as well. So, yeah, there's not much strength in depth throughout this squad. Obviously, I'll go into that a little bit later on about the job that Paratici's doing, or Paratici, I think you say his name properly. But yeah, I just wanted to discuss the game, really, the Wolves game in general. Like I say, we just got off to an absolutely horrendous start. 2-0 down. Hugo Lloris arguably at fault for both of the goals. It was really, really bad performance. I was sitting in the West Stand about 3 rows up, and I could see Conte, and he just looked fuming, absolutely fuming. We were closer to Bruno Lage, which is the Wolves manager. He was brilliant throughout the game. I thought his Wolves side were extremely impressive yesterday, Wolves. They have got some fantastic players in their team. Especially Daniel Podence up front, I think is an excellent player. Ryan Aït-Nouri at left back, he's a brilliant, brilliant left back. He's a modern day left back. I just think he's fantastic, to be honest. He's agile, he's quick, defensively and positionally shit up. I was really impressed with him. And the other one I was impressed with as well was Ruben Neves in the middle of midfield. Thought he had an excellent game. He has been at Wolves for a long time. He's impressed for a long time now as well. I just think he's just very, very good. But throughout that team, Max Kilman, another one, very good player. Obviously, Jimenez led the line very, very well. Wolves are just recruited very well. They're very well coached. And when they went 2-0 up, Spurs barely laid a glove on them. I mean, there was a couple of chances in the second half, but that first half, they absolutely smothered Spurs. And you have a look at Bruno Lage's comments after the game. He actually said, he knew that Conte would play with two central midfielders. So Wolves decided to flood that midfield. And it worked. Spurs were absolutely overrunning that midfield. Obviously, Winks and Bentancur were the two central midfielders. They didn't. I mean, I think Bentancur had quite a good game. You can tell that he's a level above any other midfielder that we've got at the club at the moment. He's very, very comfortable with, with the ball at his feet. He's energetic. He gets around the pitch a bit better than anyone else. Winks had a bit of a shocker. I don't think he had a very good game again, unfortunately. Fans want Winks to work, for the Winks rejuvenation, you could call it, to work out. But this is the problem that Spurs have got. In that winter transfer window, they sold. They didn't sell, but they moved on Ndombele. They moved on Giovanni Lo Celso on loans, and they sold Dele Alli on a free transfer. That's three central midfielders, and it's left us a little bit short in the middle of that midfield. I know that they bought in Bentancur from Juventus, who's a central midfielder, but if he gets, I'm worried. I'm worried about the strength in depth there for Spurs. Felt really sorry for Ryan Sessegnon. Obviously, he come off after 28 minutes when we were 2-0 down, when Antonio Conte shifted things round. He brought on Dejan Kulusevski, who's more of an attacking player. Spurs moved to 4 at the back, and Kulusevski moved into a 3 in behind Harry Kane. Didn't work at all. Very, very underwhelmed with Kulusevski so far. I don't think he's shown much at all. Yes, okay. I think he's played 90 minutes in total so far for Spurs across 3 games, but he didn't look great at all yesterday. I think he lacks the pace to really make an impact in this league. He's got the physique and he looks like he's tidy on the ball and stuff like that, but I'm not sure he's got what it takes, to be honest, but we'll see with him. Like I say, defensively, we were so poor again. The fullbacks offered nothing. Ben Davies, either side of Romero and Sanchez. I mean, Romero, got to see him up close for the first time yesterday. Is different gravy. He is absolutely class. He will be the one that we will build this new defence around, I think. We missed Dyer. Sanchez is just not good enough. Doherty's not good enough. Ben Davies isn't good enough. There's too many players who just aren't good enough. And Conte alluded to it, didn't he, after the game? I don't know if you saw the interview after the game, but Conte said, top 4 isn't a realistic expectation with these players at the moment. And I think he was alluding to the fact that top 4 isn't even in these players' mindsets at the moment. You go back, 3 weeks ago, we were 7th with 3 or 4 games in hand and only a few points behind the top 4. Well, I mean, we didn't look nailed on for top 4, but it looked very, very likely with our run of games. All of a sudden, we've lost to Chelsea away. Okay, you can sort of justify that one. But in the space of a week, we've lost to Southampton at home and Wolves at home. Completely unacceptable. I know that they're 2 very well-coached teams, Southampton and Wolves, but Spurs should not be losing to them teams if you want to finish in the top 4. And I think we've got an almighty task on our hands to even finish in the top 6 now. I know that sounds like I'm overreacting, but honestly, if you watch that game yesterday, barely laid a glove on Wolves at home. 3 defeats in a row. We've got Man City away next. I mean, if we get anything out of that game, I'll be astonished, because City are flying, almost nailed on to win the Premier League. And I don't know how we even go into that game with any sort of confidence or belief that we can win it. Obviously, you've got to believe that we can win it, but after how we've played in the last 3 weeks and the way that City have played, it's going to be a no contest, really. So, yeah, I thought that Conte's comments after the game were quite interesting. If you've seen them, then you will know what he said. But if you haven't seen them, like I say earlier, he alluded to the fact that Um, things aren't quite right. This has always been a long-term thing for him. He did suggest that he's got no kind of thoughts of walking away. He's not said anything about walking away or anything like that, which is obviously a huge bonus. But you know, I was wondering as I was walking out of that stadium yesterday. You see him on the touchline in the absolute pouring rain, 2-0 down, lost 3 in a row. Does he fancy this? Because it's a bigger rebuild than I think he thought it was going to be. There are so many players that need moving on. I really do think, apart from Son, Kane, maybe Mora, Skippy, Bentancur, Romero, that might be it, unless I've thought of anyone else. But there are so many. We need new fullbacks. We need new midfielders. We need a backup striker to Harry Kane. Obviously, missed out on Vlahovic now, who's gone to Juventus. So I don't know how we even start this. This moves me on to my next point. So yeah, that was obviously a very disappointing day yesterday. The stadium was just really, really low at points yesterday. Fans getting on the players' backs at half time and full time, quite rightly. Most expensive tickets in the Premier League, that's just about. I think there's only Chelsea and a few others that are a little bit more expensive than us, but fans have got every right to voice their opinions at the end of the day, and it just wasn't good enough. So I think you've got every right to boo. But yeah, I was just wanted to move on to actual player recruitment and stuff like that at the club, because I was having to think about this on the train home last night. I was absolutely fuming, making my way out of the ground, getting on the overground back home yesterday, as to where this has gone so wrong in the last couple of years. Because I was saying to my brother on the way home, sorry, I was saying to my brother on the way home, I think that obviously the start of our downfall was the summer after the Champions League final defeat. We were so close to the ultimate prize, but even before that, Pochettino was alluding to the fact that the squad needed a painful rebuild. He didn't get it. Okay, yes, he got given Tanguy and Ndombele in that transfer window, but I mean, that didn't work out. The recruitment wasn't good enough. I think he wanted to move on a lot of that squad in that summer. He wasn't allowed. And obviously, that was to Pochettino's detriment. We started the season after that very badly, and it's just gone from bad to worse. Obviously, he got sacked, and Jose come in. We showed a little bit of ambition with, the signings of Reguilon and Højbjerg and players like that, but ultimately didn't work out for Mourinho. The Nuno experiment was an absolute shambolic affair, the worst managerial appointment Spurs have made in a very, very long time. And then they went big and they tried to correct it with Conte. But the problem that Conte's got is he's got an 18-month contract and he's probably going to be demanding £200 million in the summer to shape this squad with the characteristics and the player profile that he will demand. Now, that's all well and good. You're appointing a bloke who has won everything not everything, but he has won a lot of league titles at clubs that he's been at, comes with this mega elite reputation. But the problem you have is, with the 18-month, possibly 2-year contract, I think it's got an option of another year, hasn't it? If Levy does completely back him, Levy and Paratici do back him, and they move on the players that he demands, and he brings in the players that he demands that fits this 3-4-3 system. What happens if it doesn't work out, or what happens if he walks? Because then you've invested a lot of money in a certain formation, in a certain player profile that matches a formation that is probably going to be very defensive and hard-working and organised and, gritty. And if it doesn't work and you get rid of the manager, then you're stuck with a load of players where you can only really play one system. And we're now used to a style of football at Spurs under Mourinho, under Nuno, and under Conte, which is very much three at the back with full backs and defensive players in midfield, and you're relying on individual moments of brilliance up front. And don't think Spurs fans will longer, because like I say, after yesterday, it's not good. So yeah, Paratici, obviously, Conte is Paratici's man. It's 100% obvious that is what it is. He wanted him since he worked with him at Juventus, and he's seen what he did at Inter Milan and Chelsea and all of that sort of thing. So even this early on in Paratici's career at Spurs, he's already under a lot of pressure, and he needs to make this Conte appointment work. I've been massively underwhelmed with Paratici. I think that the players he's brought in so far have not been great at all. I think that the two signings of Bentancur and Kulusevski in the winter that's just gone were lazy signings. Obviously it's clear that he was after Adama Traore. He wanted Vlahovic as well. There are a couple of others that we missed out on, if rumours are to be believed, but these rumours come from very reliable journalists. And, at the end of it, you get to the last couple of days of the transfer window and he goes back to pick up two players who weren't playing. He signs them on, loan deals with options to buy. I know that Bentancur was a cheap permanent deal, but, they're back to players that he already knows. So, what exactly is going on there? Because, Brian Gill hasn't worked out. There's a couple of others that didn't really work out for him as well. I don't really know what we do with Paratici. Obviously, Levy's given him this job title where he's in charge of all the footballing operations at the club. And we just have to hope that it works. Obviously, there's a lot of work to do there with Steve Hitchin now gone, who was the director of football, or he had some other fancy title, didn't he? But essentially, he was in charge of player recruitment before Paratici joined the club. The footballing operations side of things in regards to transfers and staff and managerial appointments all comes down to Paratici. And if it doesn't work, which it hasn't so far, it's been an absolute disaster so far. He's had to throw £15 million a year at Antonio Conte, in the hope that it all works out. Yeah, he will be under pressure because, the slack that's been thrown at Levy, okay, whether it's right or wrong is down to personal opinion. Levy has done what a lot of people asked for in the last couple of years, which is hire a director of football and get someone in at the club who knows the footballing side of things rather than the business side of things. And if that doesn't work out, then Levy will point to it and go, well, hold on, I've done exactly what you said and appointed somebody who knows the footballing side of things and has run a club at Juventus and all this. So I'm going to go back to it and do it myself. And I can easily see him do that in the future. We'll just have to see, how that goes. So, with the player recruitment, where do you even start in the summer? I think it's clear that he wants a new right wing back, Conte. He probably wants someone to link the play in midfield, like an attacking midfielder. I've seen Christian Eriksen be linked, but I'm a little bit uncomfortable with the thought of Christian Eriksen playing football again. It's just a personal opinion, but they want a player in that sort of profile to come in. So that's two players. Conte is going to be demanding top level players as well. So you don't get much change out of 40, 50 million for a top class midfielder in the Premier League now. So, I really do think you're looking at 150, 200 million, especially if we want to get a striker to either back up or replace Harry Kane in the summer. Kane walked straight down the tunnel yesterday. He actually had quite a good game yesterday. He missed a chance in the second half, but he needs players around him, doesn't he? He can't do it all by himself, is what I'm trying to say. We'll just have to see how that goes. But the player recruitment, there's a lot of players that need moving on. There's no guarantees that teams will pick up these players that we've already got at the club who are, been there for a long time on very good contracts. And obviously negotiating with Daniel Levy isn't going to be easy. But, I think that when we sold Delhi in the winter transfer window, that might show an acceptance from the club that maybe we will start to, how would you say it? accept more favourable deals to move these players on that really need a move. Because at the end of the day, we've got a wage bill, and Delhi was on, I think it was 100 grand a week, and we've moved him on, which freed the money up some course. So yeah, well, we'll just have to wait and see. But if they don't go big this summer, they risk the wrath of 60,000 Spurs fans every week at that stadium in the new season. So yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. So just got a comment here from Phil Ambrose. Hi Phil. As down as I was on my way home from the game, my dad's stance is how I feel we need to take things are never as good as they think they are. As we think they are. Equally, things are never bad as we think. We will improve. Yeah, it's interesting actually, because obviously, I'm coming at this as a perspective from, coming at this from 2 home defeats against Southampton and Wolves in the same week. The game yesterday, we barely laid a glove on Wolves. So, and to be fair to you, Phil, I have actually seen a couple of people turn around and say it's not as bad as what people are making it out to be. But 3 Premier League defeats in a row. I think it's just the expectation levels with Conte in charge and stuff like that. I just think we needed a little bit more, and obviously we had that carrot dangled in front of us with the games in hand and the not the expectation, but the hope of maybe finishing in that top 4. I think there's always that danger that the season might be fizzling out a little bit, which is obviously a massive shame. Obviously, a lot of it, mostly all of it depends on what Conte will do. I get the impression, I know that people point to this summer, but I get the impression the job is bigger than he thought it is. But it really is down to what he decides to do, because we're not going to get a better manager than him in charge at the moment, and we'll just have to see how that pans out. I think his relationship with Paratici is very good. They did ship out what he expected them to ship out in regards to Ndombele, Lo Celso, and Delhi in the winter transfer window with a trimmed down midfield. So they are doing what he's asking them to do, but isn't it? So another bit here from Phil. After a defeat, we always think the worst, and after a win, we are the opposite. That's true. Things can soon change. Wolves themselves were off the back of 2 home defeats to Norwich and Arsenal where they hadn't scored. Yeah, true. That is true. And like I say, I think a lot of it was down to coming out of that ground yesterday, so disappointed with the Spurs performance. And you are so right in what you say. Things can soon change. We go and get a result against City away, then all of a sudden things will be looking up again. And I do know what you mean, and maybe it is a part of me being very negative, but it's kind of, this season has been very up and down. We started off absolutely shocking with Nuno, and then we go and appoint Conte, and we got an immediate manager bounce, and it was looking good, and now it's obviously dripping back down again. But yeah, you just got to take it game by game. Lows, haven't you? Phil, would you go 3-5-2? Yeah, I would. I think that a midfield 2 in the Premier League doesn't work. I think that it just showed yesterday, especially if one of the 2 is Harry Winks, who isn't the most physical of midfielders as well. In the Premier League, the midfield is all about physicality and getting around and recycling that ball as quick as possible. You have a look at all of the Premier League teams that do well in this league. In midfield, Liverpool's Klopp team play with 3 in midfield. Chelsea play with 3 in midfield. You can't do a 2 in midfield because the transitions are too quick. Okay, I know that you get the full-backs, which then support the central midfielders, but thinking you need the players to dominate and control the tempo of the game, and like I say, win the ball, recycle the ball up to the front men and stuff like that. So with 3-5-2. But then again, saying that, the 3 at the back also have to be good as well. And I don't know if you caught the earlier bit, but I was talking about how Romero is carrying that defence at the moment, and the defence is bad enough as it is. I mean, yesterday he was a level above any other defender. He really was. And he's playing in that back 5/3 with bang average players around him. So hopefully we'll get a lot better defenders in to accompany him alongside Eric Dyer as well. I think that Conte wants a left-footed Romero out this summer. He's been talking about, I think his name is Bastoni from Inter Milan. Very, very highly rated defender. So we'll have to see how that goes. I think we'll definitely get a centre half in the summer to help these guys out. But yeah, there's so many, in order to play that 3-4-3 system or 3-5-2, there's a lot of key areas in that formation which need to work, and we haven't got the players to play either of them. But he's laying the foundations, I think, at the moment. So I've got a question here from Greg. Hi, Greg. Thoughts on Kulusevski yesterday? Thought he grew into the game. Yeah, it was quite interesting, actually, because I was sitting, I don't know if you caught it earlier, but I was sitting in the West Stand, right close, 3 rows up from where the players were warming up on that side. And when the second goal went in, he went for a very, very thorough warm-up. And I was saying to my brother who I went to the game with, he's warming up to come on. And obviously he got the shout and come on for Sessegnon. And at first, he looked off the pace, but then actually he was playing in a position ball a little bit. And in the second half, he actually looked quite good. I think technically he's excellent. He kind of caresses the ball. He looks after the ball. He's got good close control, and I think he prefers to get shots away rather than take a man on. I don't think he's got the pace to be a winger in this league. I would see him more as a central attacking midfielder, but obviously there's not really a position for that in Conte's formation. But yeah, I mean, I think he had that chance in the second half where the ball fell to him about 15 yards out of the penalty box and he put it wide. Maybe he should have scored that. But yeah, like I say, if he is going to succeed at Spurs, I think that he needs to play as a more central player because otherwise I don't think it's going to work for him. And in regards who come in the summer, in the winter, I was really impressed with Bentancur. I think that it's obviously different seeing a player live than it is on the telly because you can watch players a bit closer when you see them live. He was really good yesterday. He was always showing for the ball. He got around the pitch. He made sure that his half of the central of the midfield, he covered a lot of ground, and he was always looking. His head was on a bobble. He looked really good, and I think he's going to be a really important player for us. Yeah, but for Kulusevski, I'm interested to see how that one pans out because I really like Lucas Moura, but again, he come off yesterday, didn't really do much at all, and also you need to aim that as Sonny as well. I thought, obviously Sonny's on his day, he's one of the best players in the Premier League, but he has been poor recently. He had one chance yesterday where he wasn't clean through, but he was sort of like closing down the angle with a goalkeeper, and he put it straight at the keeper. I think he tried to dink it over him, but couldn't quite get there. And I thought, for some reason, but Sonny was on corner duty yesterday as well. And he wasn't great at all. We have got the worst set piece takers, or worst set piece record in the Premier League. We are shocking at corners and free kicks. I can't remember the last corner or free kick we've actually scored from. It's just been so bad. But hopefully, again, that's something to definitely improve on. Just got a question here a comment here from Nick Dornan. Hi, Nick. Bentancur looks a class above. Alarms me how similar the last 4 goals we've conceded are. Balls played in from a similar wide area unchallenged. Can't be coincidence. I know. It's absolutely spot on. And I was saying earlier about this system, you need good players in every position who know their role inside out. And at fullback, we have not got good players at fullback. Obviously, at right back, we are woefully short of quality at right back with either Emerson or Matt Doherty. I know that Doherty played instead of Emerson yesterday. Both of them are honestly as bad as each other. I don't know if you saw the comment earlier, but there was a video going around Twitter of the Southampton game where a Southampton player picked up the ball on the right hand side of the Spurs defence, and you could hear a comment from a Spurs fan going, "Emerson, don't dive in, don't dive in," and you just saw Emerson steaming in, diving in, and he just completely missed the man and the ball, and everyone was like, "Oh, for Christ's sake." It's just quite telling of how bad we are defensively at the moment on that side. But also at left back as well, I think we're really poor as well. Obviously, with Reguilon, he come with a big reputation, Reguilon, and I thought he would be brilliant in a Conte back three, back five with wing backs, but he's not really done much at all either. And it was clear that Conte wanted Adama Traore or a right wing back of some sort in the winter transfer window. Obviously, when Adama went to Barcelona, he then, I think, gave up on the idea, and he's going to try and muddle through with a mixture of Doherty and Emerson until the summer. I saw a couple of videos of Emerson in training, literally working one-on-one with one of the Spurs coaches, whipping crosses into the box. They're obviously trying to get him to improve his. I mean, I would improve on both sides. There was a little bit of talk over the weekend that Reguilon is one of Real Madrid's top targets for a £33.5 million return to the Bernabeu in the summer for Real Madrid. To be honest, if we can make our money back on him, I would definitely try and move him on because, I think he's been here for long enough now. What is it, just over 18 months? And I don't think he's good enough, to be honest. He gets up and down the pitch, and I think he's got really good fitness and good stamina. And sometimes his end product is good, and he does get into dangerous positions. But I think, again, as of both sides of the defensively, it lets us down. In that position, everything, you've got to be able to be good in the final third, but you also, when you go in the other way, don't let people get past you, and don't expose the back three, especially our back three, because Jesus Christ, they're going to leak goals, and that's exactly what's been happening. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if he tries to strengthen both sides of the fullbacks over the summer. There's just so much planning that we need to do, and I think that obviously the groundwork has already been laid with the players that he's tried to get rid of already. And there was also something quite interesting that came out from Richard Cracknell, who's one of the well-informed Spurs sort of. He's just a Spurs fan that's got a lot of followers on Twitter at the moment. He was saying yesterday that Conte can't come out and absolutely lever these boys that he's got playing in his team at the moment because he knows that he's stuck with them for another 3 months at the end of the day. He knows that this squad is nowhere near good enough to challenge for trophies at the moment. But he's not going to do a Sherwood, and he's not going to call them out publicly. He has made it clear, even when we were winning games, that, actually, the quality overall is not good enough. And we do need to strengthen in every single area. But it's easier said than done, isn't it? Because like I said earlier, if you go and get 4 players of a Champions League standard, you're looking at 30, 40, 50 million quid, which is immediately nearly 200 million pound. Spurs are 750 million quid in the black because they've got the stadium to pay for. So it's not as easy as just going out and dropping, all this money altogether. We need to move players on, and the players that are there, he's got to do what his job title says. He's got to try and coach these boys. I know that he gets money wherever he goes, Conte, to back this, and he does show trophies for it. But sometimes it's just not as easy as just throwing money at it. There's only a very select number of clubs in the end that will give him the money that he needs, and he's been at 2 of them already. So, unless he goes and gets the Man United or the PSG job next, he can't keep going round European football demanding 300 million quid a transfer window, because simply it isn't going to happen. So it's but saying that, we are still in with a really good shout at the top 4. I mean, these last two home games were such big opportunities to really stamp our mark on things. It really was a shame, the last two results, how poor we were. But Conte has said we will learn from these. It's a patient thing. That I think it was quite funny what he said yesterday about the expectation levels and how the fans need to stick with us. Well, I'm not being funny, Antonio, but you're getting paid 15 million quid a year to produce results, mate. And whilst people will be giving you the time to do it, A, if the football's bad, and if B, we're losing at home to mid-table teams every week, you ain't going to get much more time, no matter who you are. I think a lot of fans will agree with me on that, because we have still got a good enough side, and if he is good as what everyone makes him out to be, then he will still keep producing results. But it's very, very, it's frustrating, because if we can't do it against the smaller teams, then Man City away, we've got absolutely no hope. But then again, I do understand that he's trying to implement a culture, a mentality around the team. And I don't think some of the players are up for it. I don't think they necessarily want to be there. And I don't think they have the mentality of minimum top four, or anything else is not good enough. It's it's difficult, because obviously Conte's come from a massive club in Inter Milan, and he's been at Juventus and he's been at Chelsea and all these other places. A different sort of challenge for him, and it's a long-term challenge. And with the 18-month contract that he has, he needs more time than 18 months, because he's not going to go and win the Premier League next season, is he? Not unless we go and sign Haaland and Mbappe this summer, and even then it won't be good enough, because unless you're playing Mbappe right wing back, then we ain't going to win anything. So there's only so much you can say. I mean, it wasn't a great atmosphere inside that stadium yesterday whatsoever. I think a lot of fans are just completely fed up with a lot of these players now, because it's just going to show that if Antonio Conte can't do it, then who is going to do it? It can't keep being the managers that can't do it. I mean, the three changes that Antonio Conte made yesterday, I was surprised. I'm not going to lie. I was surprised about Sessegnon playing left back, because personally, I don't think he's good enough at all to play for Spurs, let alone at left back. I think he's more of an attacking player. And, obviously, I think we missed that physicality in midfield with Højbjerg. I don't think Winks is good enough, unfortunately. Obviously there was a time and a place when Harry Winks was absolutely brilliant. I don't think he's good enough anymore. He got absolutely out-battled in midfield by Ruben Neves yesterday, Harry Winks. With that midfield three in there for Wolves, who were very, very good. And although Pierre-Emile Højbjerg has got he's got his weaknesses, I think that them battling qualities is what we need in a midfield too, especially if you are going to go in a midfield too. I think that him and Bentancur wouldn't necessarily be a bad midfield duo, but then again, I really, really like Oliver Skipp, and I think that Oliver Skipp is a future Spurs captain. I rate him massively, and if he has a good end to the season and a good start to next season, he could even make the World Cup squad. I think it's a little bit too early for him, but I really, really like Oliver Skipp, and like I say, I think he's a future Spurs captain if we can keep the fact he's a local lad who come through the academy is going to resonate really well with Spurs fans. He's almost a throwback to what we had in the Poch days, where so many of the lads come through the academy and come through the first team and got into the England team altogether. So that'd be really good if we could eventually see Oliver Skipp do that. And I think that eventually he will be a midfield regular for Spurs. Nick here again. Just got to hope that Skipp and Dyer can make a big difference. Yeah, absolutely. What I was just saying about Oliver Skipp. With Dyer as well, he's having a real... he's having a rejuvenation, a comeback, really, Dyer. I think that his attitude is exactly the sort of grit and determination and the mentality that Conte looks for in his defenders. The fact that he's been at the club for a long time is really, really good. I think he'll fit really well alongside Romero on the right side of that central defence three. We need him back, because Sanchez is not good. That's putting it PG. He is not good at all. And then Ben Davies, the left side of a back three, isn't good enough either, unfortunately. So yeah, there's a lot to do. So yeah, I think that's just about it. I think going to head off in a minute, unless there's any other questions in the chat that you want me to talk about. But yeah, like I say, Spurs have got City away in the Premier League at the weekend. I'm dreading it. I don't know how we're going to get on with that. I mean, it would be typical Spurs if we go and absolutely play City off the park and we try and skank a 1 or a 2-0, but I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately, on Sunday. And then that'll be 4 defeats in a row, and then the pressure will not start to grow, but questions will start to be asked of Antonio Conte and whether his head's really in it and his heart's in it. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's good to be back, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I have missed doing these and talking to fellow Spurs fans about how bad Spurs are, because let's be honest, it's not Spurs unless you moan about them at least once a month, is it? So yeah, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, then please subscribe to me. I'll be producing some more content again. There's just one more question here from Nick before I go. Any chance Conte might be tempted to play Dyer in a similar role as he did under Poch, where he plays a defensive midfield to drops, make that free? I've not really thought about that, to be honest. Yeah, he did play in a midfield three. Well, we did play in defensive midfield quite a lot for Poch, actually, didn't he, where he drops in. But I can't see Conte. I can't see Conte drifting from this formation that he's in at the moment. I think that there was a game when he was Chelsea manager, wasn't there, where Chelsea got absolutely spanked away at Arsenal, I think it was. I think he played 4-3-3 that day, Conte, and he got battered. And from then on, I think that in every single professional game he's been manager in, he's played 5-2-3. So I don't think he's ever going to shy away from this formation now. I think he's tweaked it to exactly what his philosophy is. And I think that if he will play players in the positions that will suit his style, not the other way round, he will coach you to be in his formation and his philosophy. But yeah, I think that Dyer has actually been really solid for Conte. He didn't look great under Jose, did he? There was all the tools there that Jose wanted him at Man United, and he was going to do well under Jose at Spurs, but it didn't work out well. But I think under Conte, he's done really, really well. So yeah, we'll see how Dyer gets on there. But I would definitely have him alongside Romero, and then bring in another left-footed centre half in the summer to help them two out. But yeah. That's it, guys. So thanks a lot for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. I'll be making some more videos, doing the lives and stuff like that. It's been really good to chat to you all. So thanks a lot for the engagement and feedback and stuff like that. I'm on Twitter, so follow me at JordanPomeroy00. And until next time, enjoy the rest of your night. Don't give up on Spurs. Don't give up on Conte, because we might win something soon. But yeah, I'll see you later. Take care. Thanks a lot.